when you're covering high school sports or college sports, you've made some friends, I'm sure. You probably made some enemies. That's just the nature of the beast. What are some of the favorite memories that you have as far as dealing with coaches? Is there a certain memory that sticks out?
Well, I really like Joe Hall. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was good. He was very fair, whether you were from Danville or Sports Illustrated. He basically treated you the same way, which meant a lot of the bigger market people didn't like that.
Same guy that chewed you out for the one article?
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, he's entitled. I mean, I've never been one to take it personal if you disagreed with.
He didn't take your credentials away or anything like that?
No, never.
Have you ever had that happen?
It's been threatened a few times.
Wow, has it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but again, it's just kind of part of what you go through. But Joe Hall was really good to work with. I mean, I loved working with Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
I mean, Rick was really good. Now, Rick could maybe call you at 2 a.m. if he didn't like something that you wrote or disagreed with you. But what I liked about Rick, if he disagreed with you, and once he cleared it off, yelled at you, screamed at you, told you how you were wrong, this and that. But once it was over and done, it was over and done.
How about players? You got any players that stand out?
Oh, they've all been good.
They've all been good.
I mean, they really have. I don't have any big issues with any of them. I'm still friends with a lot of guys that played at UK for many, many years, and still consider them friends.
What about parents? Any dealings with them?
Some, not as much now as you used to have, because they don't like you to interact with parents as much. But there's been a lot of great parents. I mean, Patrick Patterson's mother, Twana, she's the one that kind of enlightened me on what Billy Gillespie was doing to players.
Oh, really?
I mean, she's a lady that got Billy Gillespie fired, because she basically went in and told the administration that if you don't straighten this guy out and get rid of him, then my son is leaving. And everybody else on the team's leaving too. Wow. And we're going to make sure, because that's when he was trying to play Patrick with a broken bone.
If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you've mentioned before, obviously off the air, that Matthew Mitchell was quite easy to get along with. Is that correct?
Great guy to get along with. He was very personal, always willing to reach out and talk with the media. When I used to do a radio show in Harrodsburg, he came down several times to be on the radio show there. One time went with him to Eddie Montgomery's home when him and Eddie did a little singing in the studio they had set up right there. And, he always walked out to My Town, which was a Montgomery Gentry song. But Matthew was really, really easy to get along with. It was really sad when he had to retire.
Are you at liberty to mention a story that happened a few years ago? I want to say 2014. Might have been a year before, involving a certain ESPN radio host, former Indiana University basketball player whose son was playing for Michigan at the time.
Oh, that guy.
Are you allowed to tell that story?
Well, I guess we could.
The guy's name is Dan Dakich. He played basketball for Indiana back in 80. I want to say he came out in 84. I know he played on the team, the Indiana team that beat Carolina, which was Jordan's last game. Now, his claim to fame is that he claims that he stopped Jordan, which is, if you watch the game, that's not the case. Dean Smith stopped Jordan.
Really?
Yeah, it's the truth.
Dakich embellishing? Dakich has a, I guess, daily radio show in Indianapolis. Is that right?
Well, I'm not sure where it's out of, but I know it's on ESPN radio.
Yeah, I think it's out of Indianapolis. And he had a son that was a walk-on who also played at Michigan. So during the UK game, he came in wearing his Michigan sweats with his press credential and sat on press row, which, you're pressing a little bit there because you're really supposed to kind of be unbiased if you're in the media and sitting there. But that wasn't. But then he was openly cheering for Michigan on press row. And I just kind of went on Twitter and said something about the fact that, hey, talk about unprofessional. Here's the definition of it. Yeah. Guy wearing his Michigan suit. Yeah. And cheering on press row for his son. Nothing wrong with cheering for his son.
Just do it in the stands.
Just go in the stands and do it like everybody else is. Yeah. Well, he took exception to it and tried to do a few things, poked a little things, and got in my face a little bit, and all like that. Kind of reached out and stole a few of my stats that I had written, laying there and all. We might have exchanged a few words that my mother and probably Jan Archer wouldn't be proud.
Jan Archer's my mother. Growing up in Indiana, as I did, I started to become friends with guys that played for Bob Knight, and they had this unbelievable sense of entitlement. And Dakich, I think, epitomizes that. Didn't he bring you a drink or something and tell you to cool off, or what was that? How'd that go?
He brought, well, first he made fun of what I was wearing. I don't even remember what it was. He made fun of it.
I make fun of what you wear all the time.
I know
though.
you do, so
Okay.
that's what I say.
Okay.
So
No big
he thought
deal.
that was going to bother me. And then he brought me a cup of coffee and said, "Hey, old man, somebody's made this help you stay awake," or something like that. And I might have accidentally dropped it on him.
Oh.
When I went to hand it back, I can't remember, but it was accidentally.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Something like that. And then the next
But he
day,
chested up to you, didn't he?
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Wow.
See, look at this, maybe a little bit.
Then the next day, he spent, I don't know, 2 hours on his radio show talking about
At least 2 hours,
I mean,
yeah.
that's what I
Wow.
was kind of, yeah, so, but yeah, just one of those things that happens. 2010, down in New Orleans, when Kentucky was playing in the Final Four, and I needed to get a feature on John Wall, not just for the paper here, but for somebody else I was doing a freelance story for. And so I was trying to get in there with everybody else and just to be able to make sure I could hear and get a couple of questions I wanted to ask. And there might have been a TV cameraman that kept kind of swinging his camera over and hitting me, trying to push in and get tighter. And I might have finally had to kind of take and push the camera back out of the way and exchange a few words. And what I didn't know is that DeMarcus Cousins came back in from, he'd been out at the I think at the podium on the press conference out in the open area, and he came back in and was watching. And when it all kind of ended, he came up to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Vaught, don't worry. If that guy tried to push you again, I had your back."
Oh, nice.
And I was going to take that camera away from him.
Tell me a little bit on your thoughts on the college players being paid. What is your opinion?
Well, I think the scholarships and benefits they get are pretty nice, but I also think there's so much money made on college athletics that there ought to be a way they can make some. Now, I know different schools have to deal with it in different ways, but businesses have to deal with it in different ways. So I think there's no reason that a college athlete, if he can find a way to make money off his image or likeness-wise in school, yes, go ahead and do it. And I know people will say, well, that'll just lead to cheating because some schools will have more to offer than others. You think they don't offer more than others when they get out of school now anyway? So I don't think that'll change anything. The same schools that you're worried about recruit the best, they'll probably still have the best to do, but I'm all for it myself.
You have a favorite moment, obviously being associated with UK, and especially basketball. Is there something that stands out?
My favorite sports moment would be real easy. That was getting to watch my son win 2 state championships in football.
Did he play?
Yeah, he played. He won 2 state championships.
I mean, like a starter and all that?
Yeah, started at
Very good.
Receiver and at defensive back or linebacker.
Had no idea.
That was easily the best memories right there. I mean, the best, mostly because you're trying to cover the game and trying to be a dad and trying to balance both of those, so you can't sit there and go, yeah, you're just kind of writing it down, and the inside of you just kind of busting out.
What I like to do at the end of my All Mic'd Up segment is ask some trivia questions.
Oh, I'm not very good at trivia.
No, well, I'll keep them sports related.
I'm still not very good. He just going to embarrass me now, Jeff.
The greatest game that I ever saw at Rupp Arena did not involve University of Kentucky at all. Do you know what game I'm talking about?
Georgetown, Villanova.
That's exactly right. Here's the question, trivia question. Villanova shot over 80% to beat Georgetown by 2 points in one of the greatest upsets in the NCAA championship history. Who was the MVP of that game?
I got no idea.
Really?
I mean, that's 35 years ago.
Yeah, but you were there, weren't you? Were you there?
I can't remember what I did last night.
I was going to say me either.
The answer is Eddie Pinckney. Remember Ed Pinckney?
I do, but you could have let me have 1,000 guesses, and I would not have got that.
All right. Who was the coach of Villanova that year?
Oh, that's Raleigh.
Raleigh Massimino is
Raleigh,
correct. Did you know that, Jeff?
I did know.
You
yeah,
did
absolutely,
not.
I did.
Well, Larry, this was our very first All Mic'd Up segment of the Main Street Media Television channel. You were our first guest. That was painless, wasn't it?
Yeah, boy, it's really set a high standard, too.
I'll tell you what.
Yes, it could intimidate a lot of people.
I would think so.
It will.
So, Jeff, the disembodied voice over there, Jeff Jacobs, thank you very much for all that you do, Jeff. Larry Vaught, thank you very much for being in here today and being my first guest.
Proud to be the first one.